Hey, how are you? We're filming outdoors today, and there's a reason. Here in a moment, I want to introduce you to my dog. But as we're getting ready to do that, I want to share with you where I'm coming from Galatians chapter 5. In fact, what it says there in Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18 is this. I say then, walk by the Spirit, and you will certainly not carry out the desire of the flesh. For the flesh desires what is against the Spirit, and the Spirit desires what is against the flesh. These are opposed to each other, so that you don't do what you want. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Whenever I think about those things, and whenever I consider what that's talking about, it seems like it could be a little confusing. But the reason we're outdoors today is really to develop this concept. I've got this idea. I don't know if you've ever been around a yard that had one of those underground fences. You can't see the fence, but it's running an electrical current all the time. And there's a dog collar that when the dog collar gets close to that underground fence, all of a sudden it'll shock that dog, and it tells the dog, you need to stay within these boundaries. It's interesting to me that that's sometimes how the Holy Spirit interacts with us. He'll tell us, hey, I want you right in the center of God's will. I want you to know Him. I want you to be surrounded by Him. Yet there's something in us that always wants to push those boundaries. Whenever as a student pastor, I'd oftentimes have people in a young relationship come to me and they would say, Pastor, how far is too far? What they were really asking is, how far can I go from the center of God's will and still be considered to be in His blessing? Like, how far can I get from God's proposed will and still get all of the blessing possible, still not incur His wrath? Sometimes we're like that. We'll push that fence, push that boundary, and what we won't do is have fellowship. That's why I wanted to introduce you to my dog. I want you to know what I want with him. Bear, come here. Come here, Bear. I want you to see him. I want you to know him. I want to talk to you about him for a second. All right, so this is Bear. And what I want you all to know is I love this dog and he loves me. In fact, whenever I come in, he's always jumping up. Watch what happens here. Come here, Bear. See, I hold my arm out like this. Come here. Come here. There we go. This is normal. It's normal for him to want to jump up and be right there by me, right there involved in that relationship. I love it. I love that he has that enthusiasm towards me. And I love that whenever I come home, I'm always going to get these greetings from him and that joy. And it's so fun. So you may be saying, what does this have to do with? Well, what he's talking about there in Galatians chapter 5 is really pretty simple. He's encouraging them, be led by the Spirit. And the Spirit is opposed to the flesh. What I want to encourage you all to do is don't look at how far you can get away from God's heart. Instead, look at how close you can get to Him. Instead, see if you can spend your life saying, how can I walk with the Spirit? How can I walk in His Word? How can I walk in His power? And so when we think about those things, I just want you to see this final verse that I want to touch base with here from Galatians chapter 5. It's verse 25. And it says this, if we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. That's my encouragement to you today. Quit trying to see how far you can get from the center of God's will and still have His blessing. Instead, let's listen to the Spirit and walk in His love and have fellowship with Him just like we were designed, just like God made us to. Have a great day.